Let's go to Washington. He advised Donald Trump's campaign during the 2016 elections. Political scientist Walid Phares, the author of The Lost Spring. Thank you for speaking with us here on France 24.
Thank you for having me today.
So the planes are in the air and Donald Trump has a change of heart, calls off the mission. Did he do the right thing?
I think he did the right thing, but for other reasons. Obviously, the president, the White House, the NSC will provide the public with those immediate statements that are correct, obviously. But there is a background that is very important. The United States, under the administration, were trying to create a build-up, mobilizing units, deploying them in Iraq, in Syria, across the Gulf, having the B-52s, for a purpose, which is to put pressure on the Iran regime in as fast as possible so that the Iranians will come back to the table of negotiations and change behavior. Tehran understood that this pressure is being built for that purpose. So it is my assessment that they have been engaging in those incidents. And before the drones incident, the drones in Yemen into Saudi Arabia, the attack against those 4 ships in front of the UAE coast. What is the purpose of the Iranians, in my view? Is to pressure Washington to react. And once we react, the United States will react, then the international community will come and say, okay, let's have a ceasefire, let's bring everybody to a table of negotiations that the administration doesn't want it to go back to under those conditions. And that's why, in my view, the president in the last minute, maybe before the last minute, decided not to have a retaliation at this point in time before we are ready on the ground across the Middle East.
Is he coming to the realization that this policy of maximum pressure only serves to make Iran more belligerent?
It is a rational talking point, but here are the choices. If the Trump administration would not put serious pressures on Iran, gathering the allies in the region, then the Iranians will be unleashed, the Iranian regime. They are already in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Yemen. They'll move toward the Emirates, the Saudis, and other partners as well. If we put a lot of pressure on them, yes, there is the risk that Iran will take actions, and they did. But the actions they took, as you can see that, are very much cautious. They don't want to have American bloods on their hands because that would give the signal to the Trump administration to move forward. So it is a calculated risk in the mind of the administration, much better than not doing anything or going back to a table of discussions and negotiations with an unbalanced position.
Iranian officials telling the Reuters news agency in Dubai that Donald Trump warned that the U.S. attack was imminent, but sent a message saying he was against war and wanted talks on a range of issues. Your reaction?
Definitely he wants talks. There's no doubt about it. So I can take the statement of the Iranians and split it in two. Yes, the Trump administration wants to sit down, and we almost know where those things could happen. But then he wants to come from a position of strength and telling
does
the
that
Iranians
claim
that
of back channel
missiles
does that claim of back channel messages being transmitted to Tehran seem credible to you?
It seems credible to me. I've heard some of those with my own ears, but the general ambiance here in Washington, D.C., that there is always a third party, there's always talks, there are always negotiations. Probably the decision by the president not to engage now is one of the streams is that he heard that one of the channels of negotiations is available. But the big idea is we're putting pressure, then we'll talk, and when we talk, we're going to get to a real resolution, not just to gain time. Because he knows that the Iranian regime, on the other hand, knows that President Trump has effectively 6 to 7 months to get to some point. Otherwise, there will be the campaign. And as you know, during campaigns, it's very difficult to do international politics.
Walid Phares, it was 7 p.m. Washington time, according to the New York Times, when Donald Trump called off those airstrikes, and they were in the morning paper. Your thoughts about how this kind of information gets out under this White House?
Well, what a story. I mean, this administration has been subjected to a lot of leaks. And most of these leaks were very intense in the first year. Well, from the inside, I mean, it's not something secret. The president himself, his both chief of staffs, the past, the present one, have said that there are leaks coming from inside the bureaucracy of the administration. And it is understandable that those who have been appointed by a previous administration, the Obama administration, and are in opposition to this White House and this administration, it's not a secret that they would be the ones to leak.
Walid Phares, many thanks for joining us from Washington.
Thank you very much.